What's going on, guys? Andy here. Today I'm going to be taking another look at the Retroid Pocket 2. Now, I have been asked by a few of you to do a more in-depth tutorial setup for both RetroArch and for the DIG emulator front end. So that's what I'm going to be taking a look at today. I'm going to be hopefully helping you answer some questions and kind of walking you through how to set this stuff up, because there are a couple things, especially with RetroArch, that a lot of people don't know, or a lot of people don't tell you. So it's something that, a couple of things that I can think of specifically that I would like to show you today that will help kind of rid you of a lot of headaches going through the process of setting these things up on really any device, but in our case on the Retroid Pocket 2. So we're just going to go ahead and flip it on here. So let's start with RetroArch with a couple of things that I can think of specifically that we can go ahead and start. And when you start RetroArch for the first time, it's going to tell you that you need to grant access to read external storage. So we're going to go ahead and just click OK, and then click Allow on that next little pop-up. And it's just going to do its little initial configuration here. We'll give it just a second. Okay. So that's good. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to the settings. Let's see, configuration. Okay, so we're going to be looking for the input here. So we're going to go ahead and just click on input. And then we are going to look for menu controls. And if this isn't switched by default, just go ahead and turn that on. The reason I say that is it's just going to make navigation a little bit easier, because by default, RetroArch typically uses the B button or A on like an Xbox controller as the confirm, and then the A button or the B button on an Xbox controller as cancel. So obviously with this configuration, we'd want this to be confirm and this to be cancel. That's pretty straightforward. Just make sure that's on, and all you're looking for is for B to be back and A to be forward or confirm. So that's the first thing. The next thing we want to set up is going to be the port 1 controls. It should already have this pretty well set up. If you ever have an issue, I've had somebody ask me about how to remap the controls. If you ever have an issue, this is what you're looking for. So all you'd want to do is click Set All Controls, and then we're going to be looking for hotkeys right here. So this is another one that someone in the comments on one of my previous videos has asked about. How do I set up my hotkeys? And basically what hotkeys are is just like key shortcuts, or more specifically key combinations to do different things. Okay, so one thing I do like to do in this list is to disable confirm quit, because basically when it has confirm quit on, you just have to do the same thing twice. And I find that it's just a bit redundant, especially if you're doing such a kind of an obscure key combination. I really don't think you're going to hit it on accident. So I do like to disable that. The next thing, hotkey enable, it's just going to ask you to map a button for your hotkey. Again, I just use select. For fast forward, we'll go ahead and map that as ZR. So you're just holding that down for a second. So that's mapped to ZR. Oh, I actually did the wrong one. Let's clear that one. X right here will actually clear the mapping. If you just press that, it'll clear it out. I wanted the hold, not toggle. So we'll set this one as ZR. Slow motion, there's a rewind, that's another one that's kind of cool. So we'll do load state as Y, save state as X, quit RetroArch, I like to do as B. And so what that means is basically if you are in a game and you hold select and press B, it'll just close RetroArch. And that's something that's important to note, that you're actually closing RetroArch, because there's, if you're using DIG, and I'm going to show you how to set all that up, if you're using the DIG emulator front end, and let's say you launch a Game Boy Color game, it's going to direct you over to the RetroArch core, and you'll be playing it in RetroArch. If you just pressed home and went back to DIG, and then gone to another system, we'll say Game Boy Advance, and tried to open a game, it's going to take you over to RetroArch, but it's going to still open RetroArch in its previous state, which would be in the middle of that Game Boy Color game you were playing. So you do want to make sure that you're actually closing RetroArch when you're done playing a game, just because it frees up the system to open a game from another system, or really any other game, so it doesn't just save that game that you were in, if that makes sense. So now we'll do a rewind, and I'll just do ZL. I think that's just about it. Let's see. You can do a reset game, just in case something ever goes wrong. It's nice to have. I set that as A. And now I think that is about it. You can map, of course, you can map any of these or all of them. It just depends, again, on personal preference. Some people like to map the screenshot. I'm not going to be doing that today. And I believe that is it. We don't need the volume up and down because we've got, you know, built-in volume keys. We don't need that. So that should be it. And I believe this, okay, this is one that we definitely want to put on here. Hold start 2 seconds. So basically this menu toggle right here, I set mine as hold start for 2 seconds. You saw the other options you can set it as, but that'll just basically, when you're in a game, if you press and hold start for 2 seconds, it'll just pull up a RetroArch overlay menu that you can kind of tweak settings or load cheats or take screenshots or whatever else. So you definitely want that on there as well. Okay, so that should be just about it for RetroArch. I showed you how to map the controls if you ever have an issue. Again, by default, they should all be mapped pretty well. I haven't really run into any issues. We've also done the hotkeys and then the menu controls. Again, if that isn't, and it's also personal preference, but if it isn't, I like to toggle that on so that A is confirm and B is cancel. So now that should be it for RetroArch. Something else that's important to note is every time you make a change in RetroArch, if you close it, it's just going to reset those settings. So if we go back, let's go home. Actually, this might be what I'm looking for. There it is. Configuration file is what you're looking for. And you're just going to click Save Current Configuration. That'll save. Like you just saw a moment ago, I do have it enabled to save the configuration file on quit, but I just don't always trust that. If you can remember, just try to manually save it just so you know that everything's taken care of, because there's nothing worse than going through, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes of setup and, you know, remapping controls or tweaking settings and then closing RetroArch only to have all of those settings that you changed be erased. So just make sure you get in the habit of manually saving that configuration file, and now we can go ahead and hold select and press B, and that'll close RetroArch. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up DIG to work with RetroArch. Now that we've set up our key mappings and gotten everything in place on RetroArch that we can right now, we will go back to RetroArch and add some other things that we'll need for DIG, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So now again, opening DIG for the first time, you saw it asks for the same privileges to access the memory. All right, guys, so that took about somewhere between 2 and 4 minutes. So this is the very first screen I got after that installation was complete. Right now, it is just saying, thanks for giving DIG a try. Would you like to look for game ROMs on your device now? So we're going to skip that for now. You can go ahead and do that, but I'm just going to show you, if you don't get that message for some reason, how to do it manually. And it's the way I prefer to do it anyway. So this is the default theme. As you can see, it isn't very appealing, but it's going to be perfectly usable for for what we need to do. So we're just going to go into options to start with. And you saw we have 0 systems, 0 ROMs, all that. So the very first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to click ROM Scanning, and this little flashing thing up at the top right corner is just announcement, so don't worry about that too much. You can go ahead and click on it to get rid of it, but it's not an error or anything like that. It's just announcements for, you know, like change logs or whatever. So the first thing we're going to do is go to ROM Scanning within the options menu, and we're going to scroll down to Start Manual Scan. Click OK. You can do scan the whole device, or you can select a folder to scan. I'm just going to add 1 system for now. I may just add a couple in this video, but just for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and just do 1. So we're going to start by finding our ROMs folder, and this is going to be where you saved it. If you have your ROMs on your removable SD card, that is labeled as SD card 1. So click on that. and that's my ROMs folder there. So we'll click on this, and the very first one I'm going to add, I'm just going to go ahead and add let's do Game Boy Color to start with. So we'll click on Game Boy Color, and then we'll click Confirm. And you'll see this little wrench pop up in the top right corner. If you can see that, that basically, as long as that is on the screen, it means that it's currently in progress of both scanning the device for those ROMs, as well as scraping images and description and screenshots. So now that we've done that, something I'll go ahead and show you while I'm in here, just to kind of make the whole system a little more appealing. If you scroll down, let's actually go back. So we'll go back into options. And you can see it's already added one system, 58 genres. So the next thing I'm going to want to go ahead and do is just click on themes. I don't know why it keeps going back up. Okay, it's still doing it. I don't know why it's doing that. So then themes. Okay, let's try to just use the cursor. If you press and hold the home key, you'll get a cursor. That might just make it a little easier. For some reason it keeps, if you saw that, it keeps jumping back up to the top, which is obviously causing some issues. So if you click this drop down right here, it'll show you all the themes you have installed. By default, all of these are going to be more or less the same as what you're looking at now. It's just going to be different color schemes. On my Retroid, I actually had 2 themes pre-installed, or not pre-installed, but on the SD card. So I'll go ahead and show you how to add those. If you want to download more, just click Browse Themes. And if you click OK on that, it will go ahead and open you into like a browser within DIG where you can view and download other themes. So that's what that looks like. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to go back into the options, and I'll just show you how to install those themes that came pre-installed on my device and will likely be pre-installed on your device. So if you click on Install Themes right here, click OK, and you're just going to want to navigate to where those themes are. On mine, they were already on the SD card, the external, so I'll just go to SD card 1, and you'll see I have 2 here. I've got comicbook.zip and Revive version 1.1 huntsman.zip. So the Revive, I can tell you, is a pretty nice theme, and it's probably one of my top 3, so I'll go ahead and install that. Click Confirm. You'll see it'll go ahead and extract and install those files for the theme, and then if you click this drop down again, you'll see Revive Huntsman there. So just click on that, and it'll kind of reload the system, and then you'll have this much cleaner UI and menu. And this one is a lot easier to navigate with the D-pad. As you can see, it kind of swells the icon so you can more clearly see which item you're highlighting. So now if we click on Systems, you'll see right away we've got Game Boy Color. If you click into that, this is going to be where all your games are, and it's still got that wrench up there, which means it's still working on it, so you'll see it kind of flash like that. But one of the really nice things about DIG, and I don't know if we'll get a chance to see it right away, but it will actually, as I mentioned before, it will automatically scrape for images and description, and I've had pretty good luck with accuracy. There are very, very few ROMs that I've seen missing images or a description or what have you, so we'll just give that a second. The first thing that you're going to want to do, if you click R1 or R, it's going to open this little side menu, and you do this within a system. So you saw we clicked on Game Boy Color. We're at the ROM selection for Game Boy Color. Click R, and it'll bring up this little sub menu. The next thing you're going to want to do is just scroll down to Manage System, and then you're going to want to select your emulator. Now, for this tutorial, I'm setting everything up through RetroArch. You may get better emulation with any third-party emulator application from the Play Store, and you can go ahead and download that. I believe Classic Boy is already installed on the device, so you could go ahead and use that. But again, I'm just showing for RetroArch. I'm going to use Gambat. So it's right here, RetroArch Gambat. So click that. And now, when it tries to access a game for the Game Boy Color, it's going to try to access that emulator. So that's what we want to make sure we have. So if you just press home from there, And this is going to be kind of the tedious part, but once it's done, and everything will work pretty efficiently and pretty effectively. So we'll go ahead and jump back into RetroArch now. And then you're going to want to click Load Core. And we don't have any here, no items, so you'll click Download a Core. And then you're just going to look for that emulator. So we'll scroll down to the ends for Nintendo. Okay, and here we are. So that's DS, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color. Okay, so there's Gambat. So this will work for Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So we'll go ahead and click that. It will download and install that core. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and close. Again, make sure you're closing the RetroArch. We'll jump back into DIG. We still have that little wrench going up there. It'll take a while, especially if you have a lot of ROMs, and I do have quite a few even just for Game Boy Color. But we'll just go ahead and open the first one. So this is going to be 007. You can see there's a screenshot there that it's automatically scraped, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to take a while, but it's going to keep working on pulling those as you're using it. So we'll click play. And now it should move us over to RetroArch and also give us load that core by default. So the first thing you'll notice is we do have these keys on screen. Of course, this is not a touch screen, so that's really just going to be an annoyance. So the first thing we want to do to get rid of that, if you press and hold start, again, to open the menu, so that's going to bring us to our quick menu here. I believe it's just in this first one here. Let's see, on-screen controls. So the overlay for basically all those, the on-screen controls and the little menu options, you can just go ahead and disable all of that, and that's what I typically do. So now if we go back to our quick menu, we can press resume, and you can see it's already gotten rid of all of those. And that, as long as you save the configuration, that will stick throughout every emulator or every core within RetroArch. You just won't have that layout anymore. But you can see now we're playing 007 on Game Boy Color. And what I am going to want to do before I just close this, since I did change a setting, in the quick menu, we're going to look for configuration. Actually, I think it was in this menu here. So the home, and you're going to look for configuration file, and then just click save current configuration. It'll save. And now we can go ahead and close RetroArch with the hotkey that I've set up. And we'll click play again just to make sure that's stuck. And it will ask you if you'd like to rate the games that you've played. I just find it kind of annoying. You can keep it on if you want, but I usually click don't show again and then click OK. And now that won't pop up anymore. So we'll click play. It should load us back into RetroArch, start the game over, and we do not have the on-screen layout, which is exactly what we want. So we'll press and hold select again and close. Take us back to DIG, and you can see now we've got a box art there, and it'll, like I said, it'll keep working on the rest of them. So what it will look like to do another system, now that we've gotten this far, if you just keep going back until you get to this menu, you're going to want to scroll down to options again and open this. Options, for some reason within DIG, loads very slowly no matter what is going on with the system, or at least that's been my experience. Maybe it won't be with you with your device, but if it is, just know that it is seemingly normal. So now we'll scroll down to ROM scanning again, and we'll just click start manual scan. We're just going to add another system, so we're going to add or we're just going to select a folder to scan instead of the whole device. Again, we're just going to want to go to where our ROMs are saved, SD card 1 for the removable SD card. Click ROMs, and we're just going to go ahead and add another system that is going to use a different core within RetroArch. So we'll click on MD, and that's for Mega Drive. Click confirm, and it's gonna, that wrench was already there, so it's not gonna pop up again, but it's gonna start scanning that folder for the Mega Drive games that I've got. So now we'll go back up to systems. You can see it's already loaded an icon for the system, and it's already pulling the games, and it's still flashing, which, like I said, means that it's still loading content as well as downloading and scraping those images and descriptions. So now that we're in this menu, and I'll just show you that one more time, click on Sega Genesis. Right now these games are not playable, so what you want to do is click R, and this will pull up this little sub menu, which again is kind of slow. Scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says Manage System, and again you're just going to want to check for what emulator it's trying to use. So for RetroArch, I've had pretty good luck with Genesis Plus GX. I think Pico Drive is probably more than efficient as well, but I've had pretty good luck with this one. So we're going to go ahead and set this to RetroArch Genesis Plus GX. So now it's set to that. So again, we don't have that core in RetroArch, so we'll go ahead and add that right now so we can play the game. So press home. We're going to open our app launcher or our app drawer. Click RetroArch. And it's going to be a matter of memorizing those cores, at least for a brief time, to add them. So we'll go ahead and click Load Core, download a core, and we're going to go to the S's for Sega. Just past Sega. Okay, so now we're looking for, so this one here, that's Pico Drive. This is Genesis Plus GX. That's going to work for Master System, Game Gear, Mega Drive, and Sega CD. So we'll go ahead and add that. It's installed the core. We'll go ahead and hold select and click B to close the application. We'll go back to DIG. And we're still in our Genesis collection, so we'll go ahead and click on this. And again, it's already loaded this description here, and it's still working on the images. So we'll click play. And now it's going to open RetroArch and then also load that core within RetroArch to play this game. Okay, and as you can see, the buttons are already mapped just by, like I said, by default I never had an issue with the mapping, but if you do, then just go through that short guide that I showed you to remap all of your buttons, and you shouldn't have an issue. It should just pull from that input for all of the cores, and everything should be mapped pretty well the way you'd want it to be. Okay, what button is A on this? I have to use start? Probably do. Okay. And something else that you can do too, as you see here, my analog, left analog is not working for movement, whereas my D-pad does. So if we click pause and then we press and hold start. Okay, that's going to open up our menu. If we go back, I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. If we go down to the gear icon for the settings and we go to input, if we scroll back down, and this is something I should have done earlier, I just didn't even think about it. So the device type is fine. Analog to digital type, we're just going to change that to left analog, and that will actually enable us to use the left analog stick in place of the D-pad. So now that I've changed a setting, I'm going to want to go ahead and go back, and we're going to go up to the home, scroll down to configuration file, save current configuration file, and then we can go back to our quick menu there and resume the game. Now we have left analog stick input for movement, and that will be, it's basically just emulating the directional pad input. So we'll go ahead and close that. And it's still scraping those, which is what we want. So that is pretty much it. There was one other thing that I wanted to show you guys. Let me see if we go back. No, we don't want to close it. Go into the options. Right. So if you click, let me see, there's a, basically in any menu, if you press start, I think it is. No? Yep, it starts. So if you press start, it's just going to change the view style. That's just something that's, it's kind of just, again, personal preference, but you can change this to more your liking. And the same can be done if you press the R button here at the top. You can go down to view as, and you can just select it from here, the one that you might like. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna let this keep working, and I'll go ahead and scan my other ROMs, and my system will be set up again. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys is on my Retroid Pocket 2, I generally have the DIG emulator front end set as my launcher, and I've had a few people ask me how I did that. So the way I did it is I just downloaded this application from the Play Store. It is free. It's just any app launcher, I think is what it's called. So you just open this up, and it's going to pull me here because I've already set that up. But when you open that application for the first time, it's just going to show you a list of all your applications that you can set as the system launcher. So obviously you just want to find DIG, click it. Then what you need to do is go to your system settings, which I've got a system settings shortcut right here. So click on that. And now that that is loaded, we're going to scroll until we see the home option under device. Click on home and then change your home launcher. So right now we're just going to use that application to always launch, which is that any app launcher, whatever it's called on the Play Store. I'll link the exact name on the Play Store below. Click on that, and now when you press home, it's just going to take you straight into DIG, which is really, it's nice just because I just realized it didn't load my Android games. Let me see if I can figure that out real quick, just so you guys don't have an issue with it, because you do still want to be able to access your Android applications. So we'll click options. Maybe it's an app. I think it's probably going to be in ROM scanning. So we'll just do this. We'll automatically scan the device for games. And then we will start manual scan. And then I'll just scan the entire device. It says this may take several minutes. For me, I've got quite a few ROMs for all of my systems, so it's going to take quite a while, and I know that from experience. So we'll go ahead and click OK. Now that we've done that, we'll go back and see if it's loaded any of those Android games or applications that we've got. There they are. So it's really just a matter of scanning the entire device, and you should be able to access your Android applications from here. For some reason it stretches the icon, so it kind of distorts it and makes it look very pixelated and low resolution, but it'll just keep loading those. If there's a application that you're missing, for some reason not all of them are viewable through DIG, but you, just to be sure, if you click view, I believe it is. Nope, it's not view. I think it's in manage system. So we'll click that. We'll scroll down to the very bottom to manage system, and then unignore files, or you can ignore a system, so you can ignore an application. So unignore files, and these are all of the applications that are on the device that it is ignoring. So I definitely want AM2R, 7-zipper, Opera Mini. We'll put the Retroid application on there, and Stardew Valley. And so now it's got the Android applications that I want access to. And you can see it's already loading more of them, more of the systems that I've got ROMs for. So that's going to take a while. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully that helped you with setting up RetroArch. Hopefully it answered some of those questions, issues that you're having with RetroArch and the DIG emulator front end. This is exactly how I have my device set up. Obviously, for the sake of this video, I just cleared all of my app settings so that I could just walk you through it from square one. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments or any issues whatsoever with this, leave a comment down below. I try to get in contact with everybody that comments on my videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my content, please subscribe. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss my next videos, click that bell icon so you get notifications. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good day, and I appreciate it.